unfiltered opinions.
Sometimes you have ideas and you're not quite sure why.
As you secure the bag.
Sometimes you meet people and realize there's probably a reason why you stayed in touch.
Just listen.
Sometimes all the pieces just come together by themselves.
I'm Jimmy Moyaha.
And I'm Simon Brown.
Welcome to Insider Exchange.
Good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Insider Exchange. Welcome to Market Matters, live streamed for your viewing pleasure. Back on Mondays. We did a bit of a Tuesday thing. We're back on Mondays, but we happen to like Tuesdays better. We've concluded Tuesdays are better for us. We'll revisit that conversation, and you'll be happy to know we're back. We got our names back. After much deliberation, much fighting, we managed to get our names back. On the show today, we're going to be taking a look at the developments out of Washington in two parts. Part one, Market Matters, we're going to be taking a look at the collapse of South Africa, or at least that's how it's been positioned by the Wall Street Journal. And then we're also going to take a look at the other side of it in the deep dive. Last week, we dove into Trump's triple Bs. This week, we're going to dive into some other legislation that's been passed in the US, mainly around the crypto space in the form of the Clarity Bill, the Genius Bill, and one other bill. We'll get to that in a second, but that's of course for the deep dive. For the investor insights, we're going to be taking a look at earnings season and what we're expecting from that, and we've got a very interesting unfiltered opinion to share with you at the end of the show, so stick around for that. If you are joining us on live stream, if you're joining us on our TikTok stream, welcome guys. Thank you for taking time out of the morning. Hopefully you didn't miss your lectures to do that, or that we're not disturbing you from your workplace. We will get into Market Matters, and we will get into some of how the JSE has been moving in early trade. But before we kick things off, I think it would be remiss of us to not ask the important questions of the week. Sai, have you been to any Coldplay concerts recently?
No. I'm trying to think if I've ever been. No. And certainly not with any side hustles.
There we go. That's all we needed to know. That's all we needed to check. It's important, folks, when you go to these sorts of events, that you are mindful that you're in a public space. It's difficult to regulate public spaces. I mean, it's a public space after all. Let's get into Market Matters. Let's get into the surprising article put out over the weekend by the Wall Street Journal, saying that South Africa's collapse has been mispriced.
Yeah, misprices South Africa's collapse.
I think collapse is a very serious word to use in this context. I mean, to say
Actually,
that
that's
a
a good
country collapsed, or a country is about to collapse, or on the verge of collapse. Yes, South Africa has its own problems. We're not denying that we have problems. But to come out and publicly say to the world, because let's be honest, something like the Wall Street Journal is consumed around the world, that there's an impending collapse about to take place in South Africa, that's a very alarming. I don't want to say alarming. I think it's a very deliberate title as well.
It certainly is. And the chap who wrote it's a senior research analyst at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Max Meslish, perhaps, and other bits and pieces, etc. So, but firstly, the collapse part, I agree. Are we on a slow slide? Yeah, I mean, have been since, I don't know,
94? 2000 maybe?
No, I was going back to 1906 maybe. When was the first Land Act? 1911.
Okay.
Maybe the wars in what was then Natal, the Zulu English wars, where England just decided, oh, we like that land. Maybe when the English decided that we should grow maize rather than sorghum and millet. Which are way more drought resistant, as opposed to maize. When drought happens, people starve. I mean, like we can go back hundreds of years. Moot. So collapse, I think, is taking it far. I mean, they raise some good points, and I don't think there's much here that we're unaware of. Yeah, some of it is currency volatility. That's not so much because of us.
New.
Yeah, it's not new, and it's not because of us. It's because if we've got the liquidity, if you want to trade an EM basket, it's just easier to trade the ZAR, and we kind of more or less give you that. Although Turkish lira hit worst levels ever against the USD over this morning, so T's and C's. But a lot of this smacks more of a Trump South Africa story rather than a South Africa world story. It's, for example, the wanting to target individual South Africans. Mentioned Gwede Mantashe,
Yes.
Naledi Pandor. I think those were the only two things that, and a lot of, and here they're talking around Iran, they're talking around Israel and the International Court of Justice, things which the Biden administration, in some cases, the Court of International Justice disagreed with, but let it slide. Iran, well, they were trying to renegotiate the deal that Trump tore up in his first term. So it's kind of depends on the shift in American politics. To be clear, what they talk about, they're not wrong. I mean, currency volatility, nothing new about that. Corruption, nothing new about that. Police ministers being put on leave. Man, we've had. Was Jackie Celebi? No, he was chief of police. He went to jail.
Yeah, well, we've impeached judges, we've fired ministers, we've rehired ministers, we've done a lot of things, and I think that's quite the point as well, is around what's being said. Let's perhaps just put a bit more color around some of the things that have been mentioned. You've touched on some of them, a lot of them Trump administration related, things like the youth unemployment was mentioned as well, frequent power and water outages. I don't know if they're frequent because as a South African living in South Africa, we've actually seen less of those over time. And yes,
Actually,
Eskom
good
is
point.
burning through a lot more diesel, but
Fine.
the lights are staying on and they have been on for quite some time. The water outages we're resolving. The water corruption tenders and all of that, that's another story. We'll come back to that at some point, right? But the failure of state-owned enterprises, that's nothing new. We're supposedly addressing that. So yes,
And some of those are getting better. I mean, SAA, okay, they lost money, but they kind of functional.
it was an accounting error. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's perhaps pause for a second and dive into that in a bit of detail. So SAA comes out with last financial year, we've turned a profit for the first time in however many years. Great, lovely. And then you come out the following year and say, oh, that was an accounting error. It wasn't really a profit. Or now we're back in a loss because
did
of the
God
accounting error.
What did God make auditors for?
We have 4 big audit firms.
Dare
We have
we
some
Google
smaller
who
ones.
who
the
are-
audit firm is.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Before we Google it, do you want to take any... Oh, well, it won't be. It'll be the Auditor General. It's a public entity, right? So, yeah.
Ooh, that's embarrassing.
It'll be the AGSA. So it wouldn't be a private audit firm. But if it were to be a private audit firm, I would want to take bets on who you think it would be. Perhaps we'll put that out as a poll to the auditors and accountants out there. If it were to be audited by a private audit firm, which one do you think would give us the result that we got? Let's not say anything disparaging around our audit firms. They are trying their best. But yes, back to... things like Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent not showing up to South Africa's G20. That actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise for South Africa.
We actually got to communicate.
That's it, right?
Which kind of stuck it to the US. We basically said 2 things, right? The World Trade Organization is important.
Yes.
And central bank independence is important. Yes, looking at you, Orange.
And that was quite interesting because going into Friday as well, when the G20 or the finance track of the G20 kind of wrapped up in Zimbabwe, that happened last week. And the wrap up was everybody sitting there saying, guys, we're actually going to move forward with some stuff. And the message there was, yes, South Africa managed to do something that many people haven't been able to do over the last couple of years, is actually kind of bring people together.
Yeah.
And that's something that we do quite often. We're able to do that in the right circumstances, but nobody's shying away from the problems that we have, right?
Yeah,
and
correct.
we have many of those problems. But to sit back and kind of just say, when you lump them all together at once, it does look like a dire situation. But I don't think the country's collapsing.
No, I agreed 100%. I mean, you say like we're friends with China, Turkey, and Qatar. I mean, who gave...
So we can't have friends now.
Who gave the orange man a jet?
Qatar.
Oh, orcs.
Who gave him a $1 billion deal for a Trump Tower in the UAE?
Now, I mean, our friendship with Russia, I think we're on the wrong side of history with that. I mean, you invade a sovereign nation, you should have some words. But
That's been a friendship that's been in place for longer than we can remember.
and we've had weird friends for a very, very long
That's it.
time for a
That's
bunch
not a
of
new
reasons.
thing.
I mean, we threw Taiwan under the bus in '98. I remember, arguing. I was going to say with Mandela, but it wasn't arguing. I was just because, of course, he wasn't there because he didn't care what I thought. But we threw Taiwan under the bus to be friends with China. To be quite clear, remember when Pelosi went to Taiwan and there was like, "Oh, don't upset China,"
And she just showed up at random.
yeah, and telling us that Julius Malema has pledged to arm Hamas. Julius Malema has pledged lots of things. Wasn't he going to build a school and all of this? I mean, there's someone on Twitter who keeps on popping up and saying, "Yo, Julius, you've said these things over 10 years and you've done zero." I mean, etc., etc. So I think collapse is wrong. Are we on a slow slide down? Yes, I think we have been for hundreds of years. I also think that they make another mistake, which is if we're talking our market and they say mispriced South Africa's collapse, I'm assuming that is in a lot of sense the market in a sense because they talk about Wall Street mispricing South Africa's collapse.
So effectively they're saying
75% of our market is earning offshore anyway. It's not SA Inc. Yeah.
So I suppose mispricing the collapse could be giving too much credit to the local market amidst an impending collapse, which again is a very serious assumption that there is going to be an impending collapse. Speaking of that market and its impending collapse, I want to take a look at where the market is open today, where we're trading at the moment, and I'm just trying to see if there's anything that's really concerning the market at the moment around this. No, we're at all-time highs again. So... There goes to show you how much of that article was read through.
Mr. Max. It is, and it's easy to, particularly from a distance, to write nice, big, sensational articles and be exciting. And we're not for a second suggesting that there are not real problems in
we're
South
not
Africa.
perfect. We're not saying we're perfect.
By long ways. But, cost the first stone in war. What's that? I can't even remember what it is.
That and something about... glass houses and stones and
jets from Qatar.
Well, you can mention the jet from Qatar, but I mean, if we're going to talk about the economic situations,
the $16 million shakedown of CBS and
$40 trillion of debt. I mean, we can write an article as well if we wanted to.
Well, actually, just thinking, maybe the world is mispricing the US's collapse. Someone out there write that one.
Why not?
JSC, Wall Street, is mispricing the US collapse.
Because
we're not making light of it.
No,
We're
not. We're not. There are some serious issues here. I mean,
this is it does
it's
also
a sensational piece.
So the one line: these moves reflect South Africa's pariah-like status in Washington. Yes, but that
in
also,
Washington
and
being
it
the
reflects,
operative word.
It reflects the current administration in Washington.
There we go. Right. So it's a very biased view on where it is
and
that
a very
we
light
stand.
view.
James says we could throw a stone at the new plane. We love it, Jimbo. I don't know if that would be right. But
James, I'm standing back when you do that because they've got like Miss-Lally things and they...
No, not yet. They haven't been They haven't been retrofitted to the plane yet. It's still just
Trump's
a plane.
got like a whole army. Like he bombed Iran halfway around the world. They will find James.
Okay, but then we just wait. We just wait until he's no longer president.
Noted.
Because then he would probably lose all of those army perks and, more importantly, in James's case and our case, access to the nuclear codes. Right? I think that's the only real thing we're concerned about. But yes, so again, you bring this up and we laugh about something like this conversation around saying these things around the US, right? But the reality is, we could wake up tomorrow and the United States could say, Jimmy and Simon are persons, persona non grata, persons not welcome in the United States, simply because, according to them, we've said disparaging things or things that don't align with their view.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Right? So that's the reality of the world that we live in, is that people that have controlled the narrative and the conversation for many, many years have said what they've wanted to say, when they've wanted to say it, and how they've wanted to say it, and the rest of the world has had to just take it. And unfortunately, you're coming into an age where Africa's population is younger than the rest of the world's, which means they're going to have more working population, working life, and all of that. Africa has resources and minerals, and if you want to wage a war, this is how it starts, right?
Yeah.
Justification for invasion of countries is...
this goes all the way back to the 100-Year Wars in the 1800s and stuff, and I mean Hitler and everyone else. Absolutely, yeah.
You need
Yeah.
some justification to warrant your act of the next step. You can't just take that act without some justification. But we're not promoting any wars. We're not suggesting that there's a war on the horizon. We're just saying that it's very easy to sensationalize news and to write things to suit a particular narrative that doesn't necessarily reflect what is happening on the ground. Now, again, we are very conscious of the fact that we actually do have real problems. We're not hiding from those problems, and those problems are serious problems. But we're not collapsing.
We're not collapsing. We're sliding.
We're sliding. It's a gentle slide. Not like the cha-cha slide that you do, but more like a snowboard slide. Like you're sitting on a snowboard. Actually, no. We South Africans, we don't see snow often enough to be able to relate to that. It's kind of that. There it is. It's that slide you do in November when you are looking forward to December.
Dude, I'm already.
When you know what's coming.
I'm already in that slide.
Second half of the year.
I can't wait for November.
But yes, that's the kind of slide. It's that slow, steady, easy slide. We're going through that. We do need to, though, look at how we address the slide because, again, South Africa's chief strong point, at least from a government point of view, is we've always been amazing and almost unmatched at kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
We do that quite well.
We do. And there's a really good article, in fact, I think it was from the week before last, from Natasha Merriman in the Business Day. And she says two things. Firstly, there was a National Policing Commission, I think it was chaired by Ramaphosa when he was still deputy, which had a whole lot of ideas and zero have been implemented. The second, she says, is that when your top structure is corrupt, they want corrupt police because that just suits their purpose.
Huh. Well, we're seeing that latter part play out. Whether whose purpose it suits or not is another story.
Yeah. And this goes back to Celebi, this goes back to Benelanuka and the National Prosecuting Authority, the Scorpions.
Again, we're not perfect. We've got a couple of things we need to address and a couple of things we need to deal with. But for the moment, our markets are holding steady. Ooh, the all share, as I look at our markets, is almost at 100,000 points.
It's a percent away.
It's a percent away. We're at 99,000 or 99,100. It is new all-time highs because last week we closed around 98.6 or 98.7-ish. So we are going to hit 100,000 points, and I wager it's going to happen in this week. It might even happen today. Mm-hmm. And that is off the back of global markets also kind of looking a bit iffy. If I look at Asian markets at the moment, the Nikkei's closed today.
Nikkei's closed for Marine Day. I got to say, Japan has the best public holidays. Because when I do my show in the morning, I'm always like, and often Nikkei's there's no data, and I go find what the holiday is. Marine Day, Emperor Day, Green Day, Children Day, Grandparent Day.
All the days.
Just days, man. Just days for days.
Okay, so we should be more like Japan. The ASX in Sydney was down about 1%. The Hang Seng up about 0.5% at this stage. Chinese markets in the green.
Europe flat to slightly down. FTSE up.
That's it.
Germany up, France down. Euro stocks down a little.
We, on the other hand, are loving the stronger palladium and platinum pricing coupled with the stronger gold pricing because our resource counters are through the roof at the moment. But yes, financials also holding their own and industrials also kind of flat, not really doing much. But yes, we might hit all-time highs on the JSE. We're going to leave the conversation on that note. We're going to make it very clear. South Africa is not collapsing. Perhaps someone should look into whether or not the US is collapsing. And we're going to get into our deep dive. Thanks for jumping on to the chat with us. Jimbo's going to hide in his room, not in a bunker. We will send our thoughts and prayers. But until next time, we're going to leave Market Matters on that note.